No, that's what I was interested in. I mean, how many thoughts can you cram in your head?
It isn't a question of how many thoughts. It's the fact is that when you confront the page at that speed, you apprehend it as a gestalt.
The Americans have lost their sense of identity.
With an assembly line, or with something approaching assembly line, every type of human resource, put it on the assembly line, it becomes a big, honest to goodness American citizen.
No, that's what I was interested in. I mean, how many thoughts can you cram in your head?
It isn't a question of how many thoughts. It's the fact is that when you confront the page at that speed, you apprehend it as a gestalt.
Now, that I can understand.
And that is a kind of figure ground, and that is depth. And it is a sort of iconology, it is a kind of...
Then when you bump one cliche into another, there tends to be a kind of breaking of the carapace, the wrapping, and the cliches gush forth in a world of suggestions and new perceptions. When you take two banal old plots or old melodies, rub them together.
Exactly.
And get a whole world of new music and new dramatic insight.
Sculptural approach to the page. Page ceases to be lineal at speed, by the way.
No, I can see that.
Yes, it ceases to be lineal, and you begin to take it as a gestalt.
But surely a reading is half of it is thinking as well as actually.
Remember, we went into that subject. I make most of my discoveries while talking, not while writing. Well, for example, when I look up the word read and find that it means to guess,
I couldn't bear to
multi-locational
read here
art.
anything I've ever
Well, that's fascinating.
I have no desire to move into the world that I understand so well.
A reader, for example, the word read, to read, means to guess. Look it up in the big dictionary. The word redan means to guess, and reading is actually an activity of rapid guessing, because any word has so many meanings, including the word reading, many, many meanings, that to select one in a context of other words requires very rapid guessing. That's why a good reader tends to be a very quick decision maker.
So Xerox, the electric thing, is a complete revolution.
And that's precisely why
And it's away from the
I
eye.
do not wish
It's all back to the ear again.
to move into it.
It's all acoustic.
Because I understand it, I much prefer the old mildewed world of the 18th century book.
People leapt from childhood into adulthood overnight. This is what happens under electric conditions again. There is no really childhood is disappearing.
Responsibility, instead of just a sort of a private subconscious.
People leapt from childhood into adulthood overnight.
They are artists. Remember, an artist is primarily concerned with getting your attention. Whether he's a poet or a musician, his first wish and hope is to trap your attention.
Last night a bit, that it is guessing and it is judgment, it is decision making.
It's also meditation.
Yes, it can be all of those things, but it does require a very high degree of rapid judgment, decision making.
Do you actually find that you understand a thing as well, or better, as some people said, when you read it speedily?
Well, again, it depends on what you're reading, but there are some things that you read and reread, but they're always different.
Do you think I could have read the Gutenberg Galaxy that way?
I don't know. But actually, you see, all you need for the Gutenberg Galaxy are maybe a few basic
I think that Gutenberg Galaxy was kind of one of the later books that I didn't even actually read linearly. I just read sections as I needed them when I was writing.
structural factors. Reminds me of something I want to get out here. You do not have to improve.
The Americans have lost their sense of identity.
With an assembly line, or with something approaching assembly line,
process being offered to native societies, whereby they are encouraged to mass produce their own, spoke all his prose in telegraphese.
And on the one hand this, and on the other hand that.
And the strange thing is this, that
Microsoft programs, they're almost identical to ours.
And you go sneaking in to steal the TV set.
We have better stuff.
You don't get it, Steve. That doesn't matter.
And shared profits, providing, of course, there are any profits. We all might make a lot of money. Now, I'm willing to do it. How about you?
It'll mean risking a lot of that.
The kids, the awful struggle is the real pressure cooker situation, is the kids who are the natural...
It's trash, just as they do most TV shows. Now, what will surround TV to turn TV into an art form? Something is waiting in the wings. Maybe it's holographic.
It's a portable holographic camera. It'll project your image up to a half-mile away. 100% audio send and receive capabilities.
It's a prototype. Use will deceive the enemy.
Now, it has a mini-nuke battery, good for about 8 minutes, but you can only use it once.
So you better save it for when it counts.
He's so thoughtful and serious.
Yeah, grim.
Citizens of this electronic world.
Sensory commons.
What's alive and what you're not paying any attention to, and that's the satellite environment. The classroom is not having any influence on you. The satellite environment is having a profound influence on you and your being here this afternoon.
Sure, great.
But you know why?
Could it be the long-awaited William Murderface side project, Planet Piss?
But the satellites
are also caught in what Tony calls the pencil box world. So you've got the slowest environment and the fastest people together. Now, so that's why the schools are going to get
that is called a gap, a generation gap. People need to meditate on the nature of gaps very much, because between a wheel and an axle you have a gap, and without that gap there could be no wheel. When the grease disappears and the gap seizes up, you've got problems.
How can we get one of those? I understand your anxiety, my friend.
And a paranormal guy, what was that sound?
Johnny Cage's remark.
No, he's sure that it's tied to something. In the native society, every single thing in the society is related. Every plant. It's the incapacity of the visual man to relate to an acoustic world.
I live in a perpetual disagreement with my public.
The native art is essentially mass-produced anyway. The fact that an individual may make it in no way detracts from the fact that he is making something which any member of the tribe can make. Now, this is a paradox, that the earliest form of craft is really already a form of mass production.
Yeah, without the assembly line.
Yeah, without the assembly line. And if handed a Western object, would copy it exactly.
Do you want this in the next one?
Well, we're taking it, aren't we?
Yeah.
That's all. We don't have to. Well, it can. No, I have. It is, but it may relate. If you were given a catcher's mitt from a baseball sort of equipment, he would copy the mitt even to the imperfections and breakages
into bits. Humpty Dumpty literally fell off the wall with print, and the types were scattered hither and thither. Print also created a new environment. Any technology creates a new environment, a new set of relationships among people. Print created the public.
There was literally no public in Montaigne's time. It was just beginning to form with print. But
well, that was the time when entertainment was all over.
Yeah.
Before printing, no kind of handwriting was capable of creating a public.
Every type of human resource, put it on the assembly line, it becomes a big, honest to goodness American citizens.
You have multi-billion-dollar environment of service images, vast affluence.
He got 2 or 3 of them, then he realized there was one other thing.
This is typical. He makes statement after statement after statement. He doesn't develop them.
A guy who went to the drugstore to pick up a few items for his wife, and
but they acquire wealth. They acquire wealth and independence and a bourgeois way of life.
Well, it's a lie, because I didn't say anything.
Did you mouth it?
Did you mouth it? What does mouth mean?
Move your lips?
Move your lips. Yes, I move my lips.
In the words you've been quoted as saying?
No.
Did you intend to convey that
what did you
What
move
were
your
you
lips?
thinking
when you moved your lips?
What is the nature of your thoughts, gentlemen, when you say fuddle-duddle or something like that? God, you...
On another occasion. So on. And I do that too, except that I am careful to make my statements annoying. After one of... they become Archie Bunkers.
They were unaware of the effects.
Couldn't remember, he says.
Was not too happy about having it explained to him.
Forgive me. We were talking about some astounding statement that some New York literary intellectual, this was the 60s, had made. I think it was Susan Sontag on the occasion in which she said that white people are the cancer of the human race. I think that was, Marshall's comment to that was, well, he said, you know, moral indignation is a standard strategy for endowing the idiot with dignity.
Sir, I want to show everybody.
Stop! Don't.
That's not smart. That's not good promotion, right?
It is for everybody.
No, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, but how do they know?
Whoever you are watching this, you probably won't.
You can see the paradox that as people's private morals decay, they demand paragons of virtue in public places. Now,
wouldn't like
yes,
it.
you would.
I remember every single thing. I remember a few things exactly. I remember my daughter being born. I remember my dad spanking me. And I remember working at Rumors Comedy Club in Winnipeg.
This is an experiment. It's never happened before. Right? Like, for example, these marches that just happened. Okay, the women were exhilarated. They were almost hysterical. Okay? I don't think it had anything to do with feminism or anti-Trump or anything like that. I thought it was that women suddenly felt that surge of happiness again for being with other women. All right? I was saying in the book that we may have to accept a certain amount of tension between the sexes in the workplace. Right? The feminist idea that if we can just suppress men enough.
Sure. That's what happened to the assembly line American.
I don't think so.
He got 2 or 3 of them, then he realized there was one other thing. He couldn't remember, he sort of...
They became Archie Bunkers.
Well, Archie Bunker is an all-American.
No, he's the American threatened.
Banged his fingers on the... And then suddenly there's a babe that leaned over to pick up something off the floor in front of him. He says, "Got it, Bear Aspirin."
Yeah, he's the American threatened by the immigrants.
No, threatened by a new way of life.
So what? If computers can do it better than us, then what's the difference?
Well, the All in the Family, did you watch that one?
Yeah, a couple of episodes about enough. It's too ferociously intense.
Oh, it's hard to
Just shouting and yelling, getting mad. Now, Newhart, I enjoy Newhart much more. Oh, heavens.
He's soft, though.
He's cool. He's, as he says, his formula is to speak quietly and rationally about the most outrageous situations.
It's machines talking to other machines.
Speaking of cooking, there was a gourmet from Virginia who went to Boston, and the first thing he said to the cabbie was, "Take me where I can get scrod." Now, Boston scrod is famous. But the cabbie didn't get the message, and he turned around and he said, "You know, I haven't heard the pluperfect subjunctive in many years."
There's just too damn much to talk about.
Yeah.
We'll have to get together.
Marshall, I'll have your stuff soon. I spoke to the gentleman at KLH, and he's sending it down here, and I'll let you know when it gets here, and we'll get it to you.
Let me off the hook for the moment. And
okay. So long.
And when I went after school, after I finished delivering my papers, I could go down to the Red River and sing.
Irving Goffman.
Tremendous energy gift. And you can find out a lot about her from my wife. But,
terrific. There's a rumor that she taught you all of Shakespeare as a child.
No.
But are you interested in the actual...
polish?
Yeah.
No.
Shakespeare, but she put on scenes from Shakespeare. I was constantly reciting Browning, Tennyson, Shakespeare around the house, preparing them for the stage all the time.
That's what I think a lot of people...
Oh, no, they're complaining about my disjointedness.
No, not all of them. Some of them actually accept the disjointedness, but they
think I'm sloppy.
I don't know whether they use that
But they never illustrate. I wish when people make charges, they ought to quote. They don't
want amateur hours.
And they ought to say, now this passage could easily have been improved as follows.
Yeah, that's true.
They never ever indicate what they consider to be an improvement in McLuhan style.
Mm.
And I think they would find that if they tackled the problem that I'm working with, they would quickly begin to write the way I write. Harold Innes has the same problem, which became a type of intelligence test.
Oh, yes, we met there. Hi. Jim, Tom helped me not only clean out the...
You never any problem about knowing who I was.
cynical and paradoxical sort of remark has, I think, some of the characteristics of a McLuhanism.
Even 200 years after Copernicus.
The house I grew up in on Bridget Avenue is still around, and it was a house that actually was occupied by a man who was Sparklet there. We were together one night, years ago, and he asked me what street I was going up on. I said, Bridget Avenue. What number? 507. He said, I live number 507.
Isn't that amazing?
Unbelievable.
How much of your junior was?
Well, I guess he'd be at least 25 years old.
You see, in earlier days of the newspaper, each day's paper came out as a kind of big essay. Earlier days of the newspaper, each day's paper came out as a kind of big essay or editorial, all unified. Then, as the news services improved, it became impossible to unify, and so they broke down the storyline. The disappearance of storyline goes along with the disappearance of...
There's a story someplace else about inflation. The observation is being made that there once was a time in journalism, pre-television.
The wife of a Greek gent who is a close friend that you can contact. I have Mrs. Tyler's phone, but you can contact her through me or through Corinne Hagen. The other person is Liola Kelleher. Liola Kelleher is I think still a teacher here in town.
Actually, true stories are far funnier than anything that's been concocted by a jokesmith.
There has to be a stranger if you're going to have a philosophical dialogue. Otherwise, you're going to get gossip.
Really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. The way flag take on what I know about it. It's my flag now. Now what you gonna do?
Kanye West doesn't care about country singers. You know, the music industry is...
That's all right. Take as many pictures as you fucking like, mate. It's okay. It's cool. Because, and if anybody's brought any tape recorders, you haven't, of course. Nobody's brought a tape recorder, have they? No. Because if you want to tape record the next song, which is a new song that we're going to play for you tonight. If you want to tape record this next song and put it on the internet and MP3 it, send it to all your friends, it's okay. Because although we have a new album coming out in September, new Iron Maiden album. And we've heard what people say that, you know, that everybody's stealing music and everything else, and I have my own idea. I reckon that in this world there is an awful lot of shit music that is not worth paying money for, and I don't mind if you steal that. If you listen to our new album, all right, and you think it's worth, I don't know, three Swedish or 4 Swedish beers, okay? If you figure it's worth paying for that, and you think it's a cool album, I trust you that you'll go and have 4 beers and go buy the record. But if you think it's a piece of shit, fucking download it for free. I don't give a shit because I think it's a great record. We'll see, anyway. Take a chance, hey, you know? What can I say?
imploding.
Ah, it's machines talking to other machines.
How are there city links? What means how Jesus? It has to be a stranger when you have a philosophical dialogue. Otherwise, you're going to get gossip. Information movement. The global village is at once as wide as the planet and as small as a little town where everybody is maliciously engaged and poking his nose into everybody else's business. The global village is a world in which you don't necessarily have harmony, you have extreme concern with everybody else's business and much involvement in everybody else's life. It's a sort of Ann Landers column writ large. And it doesn't necessarily mean harmony and peace and quiet, but it